It's cool when you can just feel the blood just. What's going on, guys? Shoulder day today. So shoulders, I think, are a very underrated body part. We're not going to do 110 pounds. Because the shoulders, having that width is obviously important, but also having big arms, having a good shoulder, because it is on the arm that comes down, having that cut through here is going to really separate the bicep and tricep and give you a lot more mass to the arm. So let's see how I'll do this way.
8 seconds.
So what we're going to do for this first exercise, we're going to do a side lateral with the cable. Oh, yes. So for this one, we're using the Voltra machine because I can move it down to be hand level. And so what that's going to do with this cable, that's why I really like to start most times with a cable exercise for the laterals, because having this resistance this way, that resistance is going to start from here all the way through, whereas a dumbbell, when it's just hanging down like this is just horizontal, it's not doing anything. So the dumbbell doesn't really start till you get about here, right? So really with a dumbbell lateral, I mean, we still do dumbbell laterals, they're still important, don't skip on them, but it's really only hitting that top portion where this is going to hit a lot more. So I like to start with a cable variation to really stretch out that delt. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the V-bar, and you're going to put our hand through here. So some people don't like this because it's a little bit rough on the wrist. I put a fat grip on there, so it's a little bit of a pad. So what this is going to do is it's going to stabilize on that arm, and it's going to make it more, that's way too light. We're still doing a warm-up, but that's not going to do anything.
Come on, man. That's too easy.
So what that's going to do is it's going to stabilize the arm and make it more of a lever moving that shoulder. So good stretch, good extension. All right, I'll switch sides. Does mess with your brain a little bit trying to figure out which way to grab it, but that's okay. That's a good workout too. So in doing this exercise, you really want to focus on reaching away. So I'm like thinking like I'm reaching over towards the wall or to the door, the garage door over there, rather than lifting up. That's what's, when you focus on lifting up, that's what gets a lot of trap involvement, which is much harder to do with this cable. So that's another reason I like this cable, is it really teaches you how to use that delt properly to get the most delt activation and least trap activation. I mean, the traps are still going to be involved to an extent on any kind of lateral, but you don't want to over involve them, right? So that's one thing. Son of a bitch. Let me figure this out. I'll use this one. That's one thing that a lot of people do, particularly on shoulders, whether it be laterals or even shrugs for the traps that we'll talk about when we do some shrugs. People are other body parts as well, but people get they overdo it in the idea of isolating one muscle group. So like my delt, for instance, if I'm trying to move only that delt and not get anything going on in that upper back trap rhomboid area, how restricted I have to be to do that movement is going to take away from stimulation of the delt, right? So it's one of those things where I say this all the time, because it's the best phrase I know for what I'm talking about, but it's like stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Like you're trying to put more value into the isolation where you're missing the actual fucking work. You know what I'm saying? So our body, our muscles are meant to work together. So if you try to over isolate stuff, you're really shooting yourself in the foot.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, damn it! Oh my God, that hurts!
I think you missed me.
All right, I'll try again.
No. Hang on. That looks like it's painful.
Of course it's painful. There's a bullet in my foot.
Good form is important. I'm not saying don't have bad form, but understand that muscles work together and allow them to move and work the way they're supposed to work. So next exercise, we're gonna do like a lying face pull. I did this wrong. Hands through this way so you can hook over, not this, all right? So back through this way. We're gonna walk this forward. Down, lean back, now I'm gonna slide back a little bit. Now on this one, I wanna let that weight, this is a little bit light on the warm up, but I wanna kind of pull my shoulder blades up off the bench a little bit, and then I'm pulling almost above my head, but also trying to bring my hands out to the side. All right, so you're getting a lot of movement in those shoulder blades. Keep the abs tight. So it's almost like a crunch as you kind of come up. You're not really crunching the abs, you're letting the weight pull you up, but that's the kind of movement that you're doing. I really love starting with this exercise or something like it because it really gets that scapula moving. It really opens up that shoulder joint and gets everything moving properly, so you're a lot looser and less prone to injury in the rest of the workout. I'm probably good. I don't really count reps on warm-ups. I just kind of go till it feels good. We're going to use the infinity arm to do some slightly inclined, not quite that much, front raise. So this thing is cool because you can put it right where you want it to be on your back. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna lean back into it like this. That little angle is gonna allow my shoulders to come down a little bit more. And I'm gonna come up and slightly out with the dumbbells. And same idea with this is you don't wanna so much be lifting up as you wanna think like you're reaching out. Think of it kind of like a extension. So I'm a little bit explosive, all the way up, slow, control on the way down. And I'm trying to just shoot my arms up like I'm trying to press them up and hold them against something. And as far as that angle on my arms, like I said, I'm angling slightly out. You want to just kind of play with it a little bit and find the angle where you really feel the best delt involvement. I'll kind of point out what I'm talking about in a second when I get done with this set. So that front delt attaches right about here to here. So when that comes down, you really want to imagine that delt spreading like this and then squeezing to bring that shoulder up. So you, like I said, you're kind of reaching out in front, and as you reach, you feel that delt contract. And it's kind of hard to see in doing this with the dumbbells, but like this, you can see how my hand is like slightly angled this way. I'm not perfectly straight, right? The more we round over this way, the more chest involvement we get. So the chest, the pec, attaches the sternum, it comes under here, attaches that arm. It pulls the arm over. So if you're coming too far in or rotating like this, it's not a bad thing, but you're just gonna get a little bit of chest involvement. If you kind of keep the palms slightly, not turned all the way, we don't want to overdo it, but if you keep a slight angle like that, it takes the chest more out of play and keeps it in the front delt. But this thing always messes with my head. So you want to keep that wrist as straight as possible. You don't want to be in here with a bent wrist because that defeats the entire purpose of what we're doing. So make sure that wrist is rolled over straight, and then you're just using that as a brace. Step out of the side, feet wide, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the abs to keep you stable. Let that pull your arm across, and then we're reaching away. Imagine like you're trying to throw something as far as you can that way. Oh. 18 reps that time. So Usually I do like 10 to 15 reps. But that's not always set in stone, right? This first set, well, the very first set we did was a warm-up, which doesn't count as a set, it's just a warm-up. So this is the first working set for this exercise, which will be typically around 15 reps, but the point of this first set is to get blood in the muscles, to get that pump, right? So sometimes I'll go up as high as 20. I mean, it just kind of depends on the exercise. Like today, I set it at 18 pounds. I started with 10 for a warm-up, and that was real easy. And so I knew 15 would be too easy, and 20 would probably be a little, it would be definitely doable, but I wanted to have a little bit more movement and more reps in this first set. So 20, I didn't think I'd get quite as many reps as I wanted, which is fine. So we did 18 there, and again, I'm just getting in that zone. And then our next set is when we'll go up in weight, and that'll be the heavier working set, so that'll be a little bit different. Let's get this one for the other arm.
Good job.
This one gets a little bit tricky to figure out weight-wise, because if you go too heavy, you can't really like start the exercise and it'll drag you back. So we don't want that. So that's on something like this where we're going to be somewhat limited on the amount of weight that we can do because of the exercise. Like I said, if it gets too heavy, I'm not going to be able to drag that weight forward. I'm going to lay down, it's going to slide me back up the bench. So strength-wise, I could probably do a lot, but setup-wise, going too heavy makes it too difficult. So this is one where like I'll get to a weight that's like I can do and I can be stable with. And if I do 20 reps, if I do 25, 30 reps even on this exercise, that's fine. I'll just keep going up in reps if I can't go heavier for whatever reason outside of strength, right? So a movement like this, like doing this lying face pull for the rear delts and shoulder blades, scapula, all that, like that's not a huge heavy exercise. It's never going to be a huge heavy exercise because they're not big muscles. If you go too heavy, you're going to turn it into like a row, bringing the lats involved. So certain things like this, like it's not meant to be heavy, right? So you don't have to go super heavy. Usually with something like this, is like if I went too heavy on this, I'd probably get less out of the exercise than I get by going a bit lighter. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. A little bit tough to get it started. Big thing on this is make sure you keep those wrists straight when you pull. You don't bend them like this. Everybody's resting. But anyway, any shoulder exercise, like this is important for everything, but particularly important on the shoulders is keeping a really tight grip to keep this wrist and elbow super stable, right? Because we're trying to use the delt here. The delt attaches here, comes down, attaches here. It's going to shorten and it's going to bring that arm out to the side. Whatever we use for resistance, whether it be a cable, a dumbbell, a band, doesn't matter. We have to hold it with our hand, right? So this is where the resistance is. This is where the moving part is. So there's an elbow joint and a wrist joint in between that are breaking points for that, right? So if I'm going like this and my elbow's bending, my wrist is bending, I'm losing so much tension through all of that that by the time the shoulder actually does anything, it's not really doing a whole lot. So squeeze tight, keep that wrist straight, lock that elbow, and you want to make your arm feel like this big steel lever that's just being pulled by that delt, if that makes sense. All right, let's do front raise. That's better. You see, they're still very controlled reps. A good squeeze at the top, and I can hold if I need to, right? So I don't usually do that. I'm just making the point that even though I went up on weight, it's still a very controllable exercise. Oh. Okay. All right, I'll get ready for this last one. I forgot to point out the semi-finished gym, if you probably noticed in the background, but yeah, we painted over the weekend, so upgraded, put in new lights. We got a whole bunch of more stuff coming, so it's not done yet, still work in progress, but a little bit of an upgrade so far. So this last set is gonna be a drop set. So this is our heavy set. So on this first one with the 25 pounds, I'm still shooting for that 10 to 15, but if I get like 8 or so, maybe 7, that's acceptable. 6 or less, like, even though it's a drop set, then we're getting into just kind of the going too heavy zone, particularly on something like this, on, you know, an isolation exercise with a cable. You don't need to be doing 4 heavy reps of cable side laterals. That doesn't make any fucking sense, right? So we want to be a little bit more like this, and we're going to do our presses next. So I don't know, we'll see how I feel today, but hypothetically speaking, going heavy on a drop set of a compound exercise and only getting like 6 reps with that first heavier weight, that's acceptable considering you're going to drop and then get another 4 or 5. You're going to drop again, get another 2 or 3. So you're still going to finish around 10 to 15 total reps for that whole drop set. But something like this, you don't want to go crazy heavy. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So that's an important part, is to know how to adjust like your, I don't know what to call it, not strength zone, but lack for a better term. What exercise you're doing. If we're doing something like a cable side lateral, that's not going to be super heavy. Next, we're going to do a compound press. That's going to be heavier. All right, let's get this one done now. Make sure you're really extending that arm. I'll get a couple partials. We're gonna go to 20. No, what? It went the wrong way. There we go. And now we are gonna go down to 15. Whoa, Jesus. For this last one. Really get some reps. Oh, man. It's cool when you can just feel the blood just, you can feel all the veins. Yeah. It's cool when you can see your veins. It's also cool when you can feel exactly where they are. You feel that blood rushing through there, yeah. We're getting blood in the shoulders now. Get that width. It's a new term we're going to talk about, or new term I'm going to start, peripheral width. So that's when your shoulders get wide enough that you can be looking straight forward and you can see your shoulders at your peripheral vision. That's the goal, is that peripheral shoulder width. Couple partials, controlled partials is good. Not wild swinging partials. All right. So you can see even going, to a good failure point on those, I'm still keeping the reps very controlled, right? Even when I'm doing partials, they're still very controlled. It's not just heaving the weight or anything like that. It's just taking it as much as I can, still in that controlled movement. All right, this one is going to be a little tricky to get started. Whoa. Lean into it. I'm sure that looks real entertaining to watch. You can see what I'm talking about where it drags me across the bench. So it's about as heavy as we can go body-wise. You pull those off. This is an exercise that I probably wouldn't do as a drop set if I didn't have somebody, because it's kind of hard to get into position, get out of position, and back into it. Oh. Let them hang down and then reach. Oh, fuck that. Ugh. But yeah, that reaching out that I talk about, whether it be the side lateral reaching out, the front reaching out, the reaching out is one, what's going to use that delt a whole lot more, but two, that's going to keep your shoulders healthy, because if you're always staying super tight when you're doing everything, all that's going to get super compact, and that's where you get pinches, and that's where you get things popping, all kinds of shit that you don't want. So we're going to do seated overhead press. I'm going to use this bar. This is the edge bar from Exponent Edge. And so I actually hadn't done overhead presses in a couple of years until I got this bar, honestly, because I hurt my shoulders, each of them. The left one really bad, the right one pretty bad, but not as bad. But I can't do a normal shoulder press with a barbell anymore without like really hurting my shoulders to the point where it's like, it's not productive, like it does more harm than good. So I kind of stayed away from those. I did, dumbbell overhead press, or I did Swiss bar overhead press. Those helped, but I haven't been able to do that until I got this bar. And the reason is this curve in the bar. You'll see when I sit down, but it lets me angle my hands just slightly forward. So I'm still doing the same overhead press motion, but I'm not forced that last little bit out. So I can kind of stay here, and it's just healthier on the shoulders. So for you guys, a lot of people that I know that have, shoulder problems, this bar has been like a lifesaver for me. So this one, we have the bench slightly angled back. Come back a little bit more. Just again, not overstress that joint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the outside heel of my hand basically right on that joint. So I still have that width stability, but then it's going to allow the rest of my hand to kind of angle in on this angle. So we rotate it like this. You're not pressing like this because that would be uncomfortable as fuck. But we're going to be here like this, so that heel goes there, angles my hand back. And then I like to put my thumbs here for extra support. You can wrap them if you want to, just whatever feels comfortable. But get underneath. Come on. Whew. I'll say that in a second. Let me show you something over here. So I'm going to show you from the side. As I'm doing that press, you'll probably see my elbows kind of come in like this. And as I press, my elbows flaring out, right? So basically, you're going to collapse in like this, tight for support. And then as you press, you're going to flare out to get those arms under that bar. So one, that's just how your arm moves, number one. But when you think about it, that's how you're going to really get that more of that shoulder involvement. If you're out here wide pressing like this is what's stretching that front delt. So this is all front delt, which is a smaller part of the muscle on a heavy compound exercise. So that doesn't make any sense. That's how shit gets hurt. But when you come in like this for support, like you would hold weight for a front squat, because you can support weight that way. So you start here, as your arm flares, that's that middle delt pulling that arm up, back, and under, right? So you're getting way, way more shoulder involvement in doing it that way. It's a lot safer on the shoulder, elbow, everything, right? So do that. don't do this fucking wide pressing shit. Compress in, explode up, flare out. Now, I like face pulls a lot. I use a variety of different variations of them. Like we did the lying one. We're gonna do seated. You can do standing. Right now we're using this, I don't know what's actually called, this strap thing. You can use a rope, they're gonna work differently. But I really like the face pulls because you can get such good involvement of that whole complex, that rear delt and the rotator cuff, the the rhomboids, scapula, all that stuff. So this one, we're gonna sit back a little ways. We can kind of tuck the hips, and now we wanna lean back slightly just to give us some stability. Now we don't want to put too much lean into it, a little bit. Let those shoulders come forward, and a slight lean back. So you can see, I'm moving, this isn't the full exercise, I'm just showing you how my body moves. I'm getting a good 5-6 inches of movement there.
That's what she said.
But it's not a lot. I'm not arching like this. That's the other big thing. Don't arch your back. Don't pop that chest up. Keep the abs tight, ribs down, and kind of pull alongside the head. Wrists stay straight as well. And don't worry about pulling too far back, right? Just pull back what feels comfortable. You do this right, slow, not too heavy. Keep your body stabilized. You will feel everything in the back of your shoulder, the shoulder blades, in between the shoulder blades, those lower traps, all that. You'll feel it all stretch, good squeeze. That does so much more for your upper back development than heavy, heavy, heavy on everything, right? Shrugs are an exercise you can go super, super heavy on and kind of toss shit around because there's just so much mobility up there, but that doesn't mean you're doing a whole lot. So if you go a little bit lighter and really focus on how the traps are supposed to move, you'll get way more out of it, right? So what I think the traps basically pull our shoulder blades up and in, right? So you want to be following that movement. You don't want to be coming like this, right? That's just collapsing over your neck. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So we want to lean back a little bit, and then we want to pull up and back. Another big thing I stress to people on these is don't over focus on keeping your elbow straight. That's what people want to keep their arms way too straight, and to only focus on the trap and not involve the bicep, quote unquote. I can't, my hands are strapped in, so I can't do the finger quotes.
Can I just stop you right there for a second? When people do this, I don't really know what that means.
But in doing that, it's like I said earlier, you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. You're so overly focused on keeping the arms straight to isolate the traps that you're actually making the traps do less work, because that pulling up motion, that muscle will never do that all by itself ever for any reason in the real world outside of the gym, right? So when we do things, we want to make sure that we're using our body the right way. So grip tight, wrist straight. I'm going to lean back slightly, and I'm going to squeeze up and back, right? Let that weight pull me down, up and back. And a good squeeze at the top. You can see my elbows get a little bit of a bend. Nothing crazy. And so you see I get a little pause at the top. Like, I am pausing for a purpose, but I'm not like counting. I'm not like pause for 1 second, pause for 2 seconds. It's literally just enough to reassure me that I'm in control of the weight. I don't want to be doing this. If I don't hold at the top at all, it makes it really easy to get overconfident in yourself and start upping the weight more than what you can. So if I can't get a little hold at the top, same thing when I was doing those front raises. I'm not doing the hold for any specific reason other than ensuring that I'm using a weight that I can control, that's allowing me to get good form. I want to make sure I feel that muscle fully release. Same thing with the trap. I want to feel that stretch down. I want to feel my shoulder blades come down my back and those traps stretching out. Everybody that gets tightness back there in their neck and between their shoulder blades, you're doing your shrugs wrong, because if you're doing them right, that will work out all that shit. I promise you. I'm already getting more definition. So I haven't like announced to anybody yet, but this is day 2 of cutting now. I've been bulking for a little while and decided to go into a cut. It's March 5th today. So beginning of March, I'm gonna cut like March, April, May, possibly June. We'll see. 3-4 months, get lean again. One is summer, but I want to do some really dope new content with the new gym. Especially once it's done. You guys will see when it's done. It's gonna be really cool. So I want to do a whole bunch of new stuff with that. Upgrading the gym, upgrade myself. So we're gonna lean out, and you kind of get to follow along with how that cut goes. But I kind of cleaned it up a little bit over the weekend. I didn't plan on starting until yesterday. But I kind of cut out some of the junk over the weekend. We had my daughter's 13th birthday party on Sunday, so I had some pizza there and some cake, but cut out kind of like my typical extra junk that I have on a daily basis for bulking purposes. But yeah, just the past couple days and not even training, I'm seeing more coming out here in the shoulders. Abs are coming out more than what they were anyway. And then this is where I hold all that fat, is that love handle area there. But it's dropping a little bit pretty quick, so it'll be fun. Oh, those plates are over there. It'll be fun to have this whole thing. I've never done it that way where I've documented the whole process before, so that'll be fun. Now this one I will say too, because what am I doing here? This is, to be honest with you, I don't remember how much this bar weighs. I think it's 40 pounds. So that's 90, 130, 140, 150, 170. So 170 pounds. So that's not very heavy. Not for me or someone my size anyway. But it's working the delts good. And so your compound movements are typically what you want to go a little bit heavier on. For me personally, and for anybody who can relate, like I have goals. I'm always trying to improve and everything, but at this point in my life, it's more about the longevity of it, right? About staying in the game and not getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to compete in anything. I'm not trying to win anything. I'm just trying to be the best me that I can be and, you know, do this for whoever wants to watch, all that kind of shit, right? So like I want to, you know, right now my goal is to cut. You know, I've been bulking, so my goal is adding size. Now I'm cutting. After a cut, I will go back into the bulk to add more size. Like it's just a constant thing. So I do have goals. That being said, it's not worth it to me to push the envelope, so to speak, and risk getting hurt for what? You know what I'm saying? Like there's no like prize. You know what I'm saying? The prize for me is staying in the game, being able to work out every day and make content, right? So if I'm pushing myself to a point where I'm getting hurt, that's not of any benefit, right? Because then I have to take time off the gym. I can't work out. That's not fun. I can't make content, which that's not good for, you know, my livelihood and all that. So if you're, you know, an athlete that's competing and you're, you know, going for the best in your sport, whatever the case may be, then, you know, pushing yourself and some injuries here and there, that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? In any sport, you know, I played hockey, people play football, basketball, like injuries happen in all sports, right? So if you're, you know, getting hurt as an athlete, you know, pushing yourself to be the top in your sport, that's one thing. It's kind of, you know, comes with the territory, right? But if you're not competing, right, you're just trying to be your best self, it doesn't make sense to push yourself to the point where you're getting hurt. This is my perspective anyway. But let's do this next set. So we will grind out the reps though. If it's not heavy, we still push it in other ways. It's not crazy heavy, but it's not crazy light either. Ha!
Man, I'm dead.
I like overhead pressing. It just feels fun to lift heavy weight above your head. That being said, too, I do them seated more often than not. I mean, it still is good to do it standing to have that support and everything. But if I'm doing them standing, it's going to be a lighter day for sure. Because same thing, it's like, you know, if you're a strength athlete or something that, you know, overhead pressing is part of your sport, that makes sense. But again, for me, it's not worth risking my back to do heavy standing military presses right now, right? So if I'm going to do them standing, that's going to be a day where I'm going to be taking it lighter on the delts, and doing the standing is going to be more the purpose of using my core and my back to stabilize for that. So again, that's for me with where I'm at and what my goals are. I'm not saying that is the right way for everybody, but what it comes down to in my mind is risk versus reward, right? Like I said, training comes with its, you know, part of its risk, but that risk should make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you risking for? Like, if there's a payoff at the end that makes sense and you have to risk some shit to get there, that's one thing. But if you're just doing this to look good, feel good, be healthy, be confident, why the fuck are you pushing yourself to the point of getting hurt? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's too far. Like, getting hurt's not an admirable thing. It means you fucked up. People act like getting hurt is this badge of honor. Oh yeah, my shoulder and my hips, but you keep doing, no, you're doing it fucking wrong, dude. Like, what are you doing? You hear yourself talking right now. You sound fucking crazy. Like, the purpose of training is to get better, not to get worse. I notice on a lot of exercise, I keep my eyes closed while I'm doing it. And basically what that is it's just taking one sense out of the equation, sense of sight, so I can really focus on the feel of the muscles and not be distracted by the mirror or anything around me. Okay. So if I'm doing curls here, but I'm watching myself in the mirror over there, right? My awareness is on the guy in the mirror, right? Even though it's my reflection, so the guy in the mirror is me, where I'm focused is over there. So I'm not focused on what my body is doing here. I'm focused on what my reflection is doing over there. So if you're not focused on your actual body, you're completely missing the mind muscle connection entirely, like, because you're not even focused in your fucking body. You know what I'm saying? So that mind muscle connection is a thing you have to develop through practice, right? Of contracting the muscle, thinking about it, focusing on it to build that connection. But if you're just focused on what you look like the whole time, you're not focused on what you're actually doing. So even on stuff like if I do have my eyes open, staring ahead, like I'm pretty much just zoned out. I'm not paying attention to anything in between or during the set. In between sets, then, you know, I'll pose and I'll look at myself. I'll evaluate things like that. But very rarely to never am I actually paying attention to what I'm doing in the mirror. So same thing, I want to be real controlled. Slight lean back. Up and back and really focus on them hang down. Feel that stretch in the neck. It traps. Oh my God.
Oh, good boy. Oh, good boy.
Look at my son. Pride is not the word I'm looking for. There is so much more inside me now.
So this exercise I kind of discovered by accident. I'll tell you how. So come around to the front. So I was training somebody. Or no, I think I was just working on my own. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But anyhow, I was sitting on this bench this way. And yeah, I was working out because that's what happened. I was working out. I was sitting here resting. And I was going to do laterals as my next exercise. And I was trying to figure out what variation I wanted to use, right? So I'm sitting on this bench. I'm like, dude, I don't really want to fucking get up. And so I was like, I could just do them sitting here. And what I found is by sitting in this groove, the way that incline bench is, it makes it literally impossible for you to get any kind of like lean or momentum. So, and the way that your legs angle out to straddle the bench, it forces your arms back a little bit farther, and it isolates those mid delts like crazy, way more than you would think. So what started as me just being fucking lazy one day turned out to be a really good side lateral exercise. So we're gonna do those ones first. It's gonna be super simple to finish. Then we're gonna stand up this way, and we're gonna hit our rear delts. So in doing this, I'm gonna show you right now without the weight, I'm starting here, and I'm not pulling like this, right? I'm rotating this way. So I'm not, it doesn't have to be perfectly flat, but I'm trying to get my forearm like this. Like look at my delts this way versus this way, right? It's way more involvement here. And same thing you feel in those shoulder blades as well. So we're gonna do that one for our second one. And then our last one, we're just gonna be in that same position and we're gonna hit the front delts like this. It's always a debate when you're doing this at the end of the workout. You have to think about how strong you are versus also how fatigued you are. Golly. So this exercise, it feels like you're almost, when you're coming down, you're not doing this, but it feels like you're going behind your back, right? So if you just kind of think that's the normal movement, and then it's like slightly forward, that's the angle that you want to be at. The other thing is when you come down, really focus on gravity, pulling your arm down towards the floor so you feel that stretch along here. You don't want to just bring it into your body. You want to come down to the floor, feel your delts being pulled down, and then reaching out, just like we talked about on the other laterals. We want to be reaching out, always reaching out.
Oh my God, I'm gonna bite your butt.
Rear delts. Hold on, I need to skip this fucking song. Jesus Christ. We've had like 3 supplement orders today.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. This one, we'll see. This might be a little bit heavy. So we'll see how it goes. Oh. 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 That's it. Almost missed the bench. Oh, okay. A rest, we'll do one more set of these and we'll be done. Shoulders is always a quicker one. There's a lot of things like think about chest and back are bigger muscles, so you're going to be moving more weight. So obviously, the heavier you lift, the more energy you're expending, the more you're going to rest, the more tired you're going to be, all that kind of shit, right? But there's also something to be said of having to load numerous plates on and off the bar for benching. Off the bar if you're doing rows or something like that, like you're using a lot more plates, whereas a lot of the stuff I've done today has been cables and dumbbells. So I'm not, like dumbbells, all I do is just pick them up and lift them. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to set up as much shit. So things like chest and back and legs that are bigger muscles are going to take longer to train them, but it's also going to take longer just setting up the fucking exercises as well too, and the weight and all that kind of shit. So shoulders is one that goes real quick. Arms also goes pretty quick. Same thing, you're not changing weights, you're doing a lot more dumbbell shit, stuff like that.
I can't do it. My tummy hurts.
I think, yeah, we're gonna go 25s because we're not gonna do 30s. I'll tell you that. That ain't gonna work. So we're gonna put these over here. So we're gonna go 25s, 20s, 15s for our drop. Oh, fucking shit. Oh, goddamn. Yeah, I like to have that width where it just comes across. And you get the rear delts popping up in the back. That's how you really get that width on that lat spread, because doing a lat spread, you're bringing that shoulder forward to get the full face of your arm. My arms are kind of small to me right now because they're not pumped, my shoulders are. But when you're doing that lat spread, if you come too much like this, you get the width on the shoulders from those front delts, but you lose the size on the arms, right? So you want to really roll those wrists so you bring that arm forward, you get more thickness there. But if you don't have the rear delt, because your mid delt's kind of angled forward now, so you really need that rear delt to kind of pop up in the back to give you that full width. What the fuck am I doing? Bent over. Laterals.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
Oh, man. Oh. Definitely won't drop him when he's laying there. You okay, bud? Let's get in this one. Oh. 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 Still on a giant set, so minimal rest. Just catching my breath real quick. Then we're gonna hit this last set of front raises. And remember, reaching forward, not lifting up. So tight grip, reach. Oh. 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 Oh, that's it. Oh. 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 Oh, that's it. Oh, man. That's good. The shoulders feel pretty crazy right now. Put a lot of width. Like I was saying, my shoulders were pretty messed up for a little while. And so I wasn't able to do any like real progressive shoulder work for close to 2 years. Like when this left one was messed up, it was like about a year, close to a year and a half of like 7, 8 on a scale of 10 of pain, 24/7. Like I couldn't do shit with my shoulders. I could hardly sleep. I was sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a night in like 10 to 15 minute increments because I couldn't sleep on my left side. I had to turn over, so it was a whole thing. So there was a good year that I couldn't do anything with it at all. And then about another year-ish of essentially rehabbing it back to the point that I could do anything progressive. So in that time, I lost a lot of size on the shoulders, lost a lot of width, which kind of sucks. So it's pretty fun to see that coming back. And like I said, I've been bulking for a while. And when you bulk, you get bigger. But like I was saying, when you lose that separation, it's just bulk. But when the cuts start to come out, that's when you really see the lines and the detail and stuff like that. Well, cool, guys. That's it for shoulders today. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share this video with whoever you want to do your shoulder workout with. And if you're not on my app, definitely download my app and check that out. You want to have, I have 18 different programs on there that are structured. You can track your weights, you can track your food. There's instruction to every exercise, all of that stuff. So you can follow along with me great here with my own workouts when I post them. But if you want to have something that's just done for you and structured so you know exactly what to do every time you go to the gym, hop on my Lifts with Wolves app. We'll see you guys next time.